Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Side Hustle Seattle. Now I am currently in beautiful Italy, just enjoying a bit of travel, but I couldn't help but notice something interesting about the notaries here in Europe. And as a notary in the United States, it got me thinking about how different the role of a notary is across the world. So in this video, I wanted to break down what are the key differences between being a notary in the United States and being a notary in Europe. So let's get into it. So let's just start with the United States first. So in the US, notaries act as an impartial witness. So some of the things that we do are we authenticate signatures, we verify identities, we make sure that document signatures are properly executed, things like that. But it's more about verifying the process itself than it is about having any sort of legal power over the document. So in the United States, most notaries are commissioned by the state itself, and we all kind of follow a fairly uniform process no matter where you go. Now, each state is going to have their subtle differences, but for the most part, it's fairly similar from state to state. Now, here's where Europe, particularly Italy, really stands out. So notaries in Europe, especially civil law countries like Italy, actually have a lot more responsibility, and they're often seen as legal professionals. So that is correct. In Italy, being a notary is on par with being a lawyer. So they don't just do things like witness the signature, they'll also draft and certify important documents like wills, like contracts, like real estate agreements. Like their word is law, literally. And in Europe, they also have the responsibility of assuring that a document is legally binding and is compliant with the laws. And as you can imagine, becoming a notary in Europe is a lot more challenging, especially in a place like Italy. You need to have a legal education, you have to pass rigorous exams, you go through years and years of training to get certified as a notary in a place like Italy, versus in the US, for example, I got commissioned in Colorado and it was all of 24 hours. So it is very, very different from being a notary in the United States than it is with being a notary in Europe. So one more key difference is the fees. So in the US, the state actually dictates how much you're allowed to charge per notarization or per stamp, right? Regardless if it's remote or if it's in person. So I think on average, it's like maybe $15 per stamp. Every time you stamp a document, $15 for that when you're in the US. In Europe, because it's so much more involved, because they're on par with lawyers, it's not uncommon in Europe for a notary to charge thousands of euros for their services, especially if it's a big transaction like a real estate deal. Like, wouldn't that be great to have that in the US? You're just charging like $2,000 every time you do some sort of loan signing. But in this case, because that's a little bit more straightforward, unfortunately, our fees are more capped. This means if you're looking to become a notary or just use a notary service. So in the US, you would need a notary for things like, mortgages, affidavits, powers of attorney. In Europe, it's honestly a completely different system. Notaries just play such a more important role in the legal process and have significantly more authority. It's like completely different from anything that we have in the US, honestly. But honestly, that is the end of the video. I just wanted to do a quick comparison side by side on how it differs from being a notary in the United States versus being a notary in Europe, especially in a place like Italy. Hopefully you found this interesting. Anyways, thank you so much for watching my channel as always. I'll catch you in the next one.